Aboriginal protesters involved in yesterday's angry blockade in Canberra are blaming police for inciting violence. Tent Embassy protesters surrounded an Australia Day function being attended by Tony Abbott and Julia Gillard. Tense moments followed as both leaders were rushed out of the building. Mr Abbott has thanked the Prime Minister for looking after him and says the protesters were completely wrong in their belief that he'd called for the Tent Embassy to be pulled down. From Canberra, Greg Jennett reports.
Their cause and their anger aren't diminished.
We'd like you to respect our privacy.
But life at the Aboriginal Tent Embassy is much more placid than it was on Australia Day.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
Their actions in surrounding a nearby restaurant, the Prime Minister's gesture to get Tony Abbott out safely,
I'll just to get them when we're up. Sure. No problem.
and then her loss of a shoe, her stumble and the protection of her federal police bodyguards have made news around the world.
She lost a shoe and looked shaken as she was dragged away.
Now the blame game is in full swing. Tent Embassy organisers say outsiders infiltrated and incited the crowd, and that they only went to the restaurant to invite Tony Abbott to explain why he said yesterday that people should move on after 40 years of the Tent Embassy.
For him to make a comment that we should disband our representative site in the nation's capital and is sort of akin to us going up to the cenotaph on Anzac Day and asking you to pull that down.
Mr Abbott, do you think the embassy should be torn down?
Well, I never said that and I don't think that.
The protesters are also furious at police, accusing them of provocation.
The problem was when the police started attacking the protesters. There's one young red-headed federal police officer who we're going to be talking to the federal police about today, and we're going to be laying charges against that man.
Several prominent Aboriginal leaders have condemned yesterday's events and distanced themselves from Tent Embassy organisers.
The last 20 years, it has become irrelevant. It has been hijacked by people who want to stick their own agendas on it.
At the very least, the episode has brought Tony Abbott and Julia Gillard closer together.
I'm very grateful to the Prime Minister and her protection detail for looking after us both so well yesterday.
And prompted some quiet reflection among the protesters. Greg Jennett, ABC News, Canberra.